Well, let's get more analysis now from Isabel Hilton, who's founder and senior advisor at the think tank China Dialogue. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Isabel. So the two sessions usually gives us a good indication of where China is heading and what its priorities are. So maybe let's start with green growth and the sustainability agenda. Where do you see this going?
Well, the sustainability agenda in general has been pretty central part of government thinking for some time now. Perhaps marginally knocked off course a little bit by geostrategic tensions and the need to ensure energy security in China, which tends to mean a bit more coal than people are comfortable with. But in terms of green growth, there is a huge investment opportunity here for China. So there's green infrastructure to build, for example. One of the big success stories has been electric vehicles in China, but there's still plenty of room for growth there, and that will involve continuing to roll out charging stations and all the infrastructure that requires. And if you look at China's targets for peaking emissions before 2030 and net zero by 2060, that is going to require a huge investment still in renewable energy, and that will require, in turn, an upgrade of the grid. So plenty of investment opportunities there, all leading to a very good outcome.
And China has said that it will open wider to the outside world. Meanwhile, it promises to put more emphasis on the quality instead of quantity of growth, focusing especially on the digital and the private economy. What does this mean for business partners here in the West?
Well, I think that business partners, we've all had a rather difficult 2 or 3 years with lots of interruptions to supply chains, lots of uncertainties in the international context. And I think for China, as for other countries seeking investment, I think the question of reassurance is a really important one. So high quality growth, China is past the catch-up stage of double-digit growth. The target that is being discussed in terms of GDP growth for the coming year is 5%, which might turn out to be quite ambitious. But China is in the course of, upgrading its economy beyond, being the world's factory to being much more innovative, much more focused on advanced technologies, the technologies of the future. And those are things which can attract serious partnerships. Those are things that the whole world is interested in. And if we can get some assurance on no further excitements in terms of interruptions in supply, then I think that would be very interesting.
Yes, indeed.
For any outside investor.
Absolutely, yeah. And this marks the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative, as it's known, which spans more than 150 countries and has brought significant investment. What do you think the legislative meeting could mean for this huge project and the many people around the world involved in the BRI?
Well, what I'd like to see in terms of the BRI is, if you look at what China's been doing in terms of thinking about green finance domestically, and of course Xi Jinping has promised no new finance for coal on the Belt and Road. But there is a kind of next step, which is if we are not to see heavy investments in fossil fuel to produce the energy for countries to develop, what they are going to need are renewable systems, because China is investing in lots of countries that need further investment. They need to grow, but they need to grow with clean energy systems. And given China's experience over the last 10 years, given China's capacity to manufacture at scale, what would be really exciting at this point would be to see that combination of capacity and finance going into building important renewable systems in Africa, in Latin America, in other countries where energy is going to be required, but we can't afford for that to be heavy fossil energy. So I'm hoping, and we can see the direction domestically, so I'm hoping that will get translated into Belt and Road approach really quickly.
Isabel, great to get your thoughts. Isabel Hilton from China Dialogue, thanks so much.
Great pleasure.